Well, I hope my buddies over at the National Association for Individual Rights don't get mad at me for making a funny joke. I do it out of love for you guys. So this weekend, and I just think it's funny. I mean, there are a lot of unfortunate acronyms out there, and that was just one of them. But I still support NAIR. So that's, you know what? If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh. So, hey, Jay Spur, what's going on, Jesse? Mystery 13. Just a quick video here. This weekend is an important weekend in Leon Valley. They are holding I don't know if it's an event, a rally, a protest. Let's just call it all three. Standing up to tyrants. There you go. The accountability specialists in NAIR are holding an event that I support, that Open Carry Texas is supporting, in Leon Valley, beginning at 11 o'clock at City Hall. This is a peaceful rally. It is a lawful rally, and I encourage everyone that is able to go. Now, it looks like I will probably not be able to go to this one. I have been really trying to make it work, and it's just not working. But I'm still trying, so I'm not going to give up. I just don't want to get people's hopes up that they might be able to punch me and me not be there to be able to get punched. So just assume I can't, and if I'm able to, then I will definitely be there. But really, we need as many people there as possible. And I know, how can you, CJ, sit there and say that people need to show up and you're not willing to show up? No, I am willing to show up. It's just this particular one I can't. And anyone that has any integrity that says that I don't have skin in this game, or that I'm not doing my part, needs to go back and sit down and keep munching their Cheetos while watching NFL reruns. I go to as many of these things as possible. As a matter of fact, I'm at a rally literally every weekend this month. I have been traveling all over the place. Next weekend, I'm going to be in Florida, speaking in Tallahassee for gun rights over there. Last week I was in Oklahoma. The week before that I was in Houston. So I travel. But we need as many people there as possible, if for no other reason than just to stand up and show that numerically people care about this issue. And let me tell you, I realize OCT events are a little bit different, and we may or may not get 500 people there on Saturday, but I will argue if 540 people plus were willing to show up at Olmos Park after what they did to me and Jim and some of the others there, I'm telling you right now, as bad as Olmos Park was, Leon Valley is 10 times worse. All right, this is what I'm saying. Leon Valley is 10 times worse than what's going on at Olmos Park. The Olmos Park police chief has decided, rightfully, just to stick his head up his own rear end and try to make it all go away. And he is literally just shriveled back into his ball sack. All right. Leon Valley, instead of doing the right thing and recognizing that they screwed up, continue to exponentially make things worse. They do this through a system of manipulation, misinformation, outright lies, and illegal, unconstitutional, and conspiratorial conduct. Those are big words, but they're all accurate words. And many people as possible need to show up at, I would say, around 10:30 at the Leon Valley City Hall and support the National Association for Individual Rights. And I want to leave something with you here, okay? To those people who are saying they're not going to show up because they don't agree with the way that certain people act, or maybe they believe that They brought this on themselves. That's a pretty good excuse, but it's not a legitimate excuse, because what you're basically saying is, well, you know, unless you act a certain way, your rights don't exist. And unless you kiss someone's ass and do things the politically correct way, you have no rights. We need to get rid of that. We don't have to support necessarily and individually the people involved, although I do, because of how they act. What we need to support is the fact that they should never have been targeted the way they've been targeted. Whether you agree with or would do things differently yourself, how things were done is irrelevant. People's rights were violated. Innocent people were assaulted and arrested and robbed at gunpoint. They were stripped of their liberty. They were charged with bogus crimes. These people are having to spend money out of their own pockets, and other people who are helping them are having to spend money out of their own pockets, because the police chief in Leon Valley believes that his pecker is bigger than everyone else's in the world. And he believes that his power is insurmountable and infinite. And the fact of the matter is that the Leon Valley police chief is absolutely 100% wrong. And every single police officer in that department who has not yet arrested the police chief and those officers involved in arresting law-abiding witnesses, which is not only immoral but unconstitutional and unlawful. You cannot go around arresting innocent people. And so every police officer in Leon Valley is just as culpable for what is happening. And for those of you that say, well, you know, you can't blame them, they weren't there, or they were just doing their jobs, or they didn't actually involve what was going on, let me give you this scenario. Let's just say, let's just pick a completely anonymous and nondescript hockey team decides that they're going to start raping cheerleaders, right? Now, not everyone in the hockey team rapes the cheerleaders, but some of them are standing around watching as the hockey team members, other hockey team members, are raping these cheerleaders. Are you telling me that those people who just stood around watching the cheerleaders get raped are not just as responsible and culpable for the rape of those cheerleaders as the hockey team people who actually did that? I don't think so. So why is it any different than police officers? If a police officer is standing around watching law-abiding citizens getting harassed, assaulted, tased, beaten, falsely arrested, having false police reports written against them, being charged for the crimes of other people, being charged for no crimes, having their personal property stolen at gunpoint, if they're willing to stand around and watch that illegal conduct, how is that any different than standing around watching someone get raped? Because in a legal and constitutional sense, what Leon Valley is doing is raping its citizens. And as long as we're willing to just stand back and wait until it's convenient for us to get involved, we're never going to get this fixed. Leon Valley Police Chief is counting on you not to show up. He is counting on you to pretend that none of this exists. He's counting on you to think that your Saturday can be better spent at a picnic, at the range, at the lake, on the river, whatever it is. The Leon Valley Police Chief is counting on your lack of inactivity. And I know, here we go again, but CJ, you're saying you might not be able to go either. Aren't you saying he's counting on you not to show up too? Well, yeah, he is, but I challenge anyone to intelligently and honestly say that I wouldn't be there if I could be there. I challenge anyone to tell me that I'm not going because I'm afraid. It has nothing to do with fear. I am willing to die for this cause of liberty. And I've pretty much proven that. So, just because I can't support one, all right? So please be there Saturday at the Leon Valley City Council, or City Hall, excuse me, at, I would say at 10:30. It starts at 11, but be there about 10:30. And show your support for our constitutional principles, okay? We have got to show up. And look, if you're afraid of getting arrested, just stay on the sidewalk. And I know that people have been arrested on the sidewalk, but if enough people just show up instead of worrying about how many other people are going to show up, if everyone just shows up, you won't have to worry about any of that, because you'll be numerically superior. And look, I'm gonna be blunt right here. The Second Amendment activists need to recognize, you know, all of us that go out there and we talk about the fact that, you know, the Second Amendment protects all the others. If you're not willing to go out there and actually defend and stand between the police and law-abiding First Amendment activists and actually defend with our lives these rights, then just stop talking. Just stop. Liberty is not, it's not a spectator sport. I've got several videos where I have stood up in the face of nearly getting killed and made it very clear that if I am touched, look at my video in Abilene, or I'm sorry, in Austin, that I made very clear to that officer, if she touched me one more time, I will defend myself. And that's a serious thing. And at some point, we the people have got to stop pretending that the courts are going to take care of us and that the police are going to take care of us, and we need to start taking care of ourselves. And that might sound like a pretty outlandish thing to say, but for those people, I'll ask you this question. Why is it okay for a law enforcement officer to claim he fears for his life and shoot someone who is unarmed, that is threatening him, or there's a perception that a person is threatening him, but it's not okay for a citizen to shoot an armed law enforcement officer who is causing him to fear for his life? Why is it okay for a cop to shoot you and me because he, quote, fears for his life, but it's not okay for you and me to shoot a cop if we fear for our lives and we're not breaking any laws? I'm not talking about a guy breaking, you know, robbing a bank, and police show up and he shoots because he fears for his life. Sorry, he's committing a crime. You're supposed to fear for your life when you're committing a crime. You break into my house, you better fear for your life. I'm talking about law-abiding citizens who are breaking no laws and get assaulted and threatened with bodily harm by people with guns just because they wear a badge. Suddenly we're not allowed to defend ourselves? If that's your attitude, you need to rethink what you believe about liberty and what liberty really is. And the unfortunate reality is that it's going to take some martyrs to get police accountability, because our courts aren't doing it. The legislature isn't doing it. In fact, the legislature is protecting this kind of activity. Last year, our Texas legislature passed a law that specifically makes it a hate crime to target law enforcement officers. That's right. Their lives are more important than yours. So if you're murdered, they'll investigate it and there will probably be some consequences for the murderer. But if a cop is murdered, oh boy, that's bad. That's bad, because their life is much more important than yours is. So if we're not able to get justice in the streets, or excuse me, in the courts, and if we can't count on law enforcement to protect us, and we can't count on the courts to protect us, and we can't count on the legislature to protect us, and to rein in these abusive, violent, and authoritative government agents, then who's left to protect us? You and me. And I'm not calling for anybody to be killed. As a matter of fact, I don't want anyone. I don't want violence used against anybody. I don't want violence used against cops, but I also don't want violence used by cops. Does that make sense? Violence should only be used in self-defense. That's the only time violence is legitimate, is in self-defense. Don't worry, I'm staying safe while I'm driving. I got both hands on the wheel. I've also, I'm probably more trained on dealing on distracted driving and aggressive driving and what we call tactical offensive driving than most law enforcement officers are. I went through when I was in a certain unit many years ago, we went through a lot of training that's even more intense than what law enforcement goes through on how to do pit maneuvers and J-turns and how to shoot out of windows and all that other kind of stuff. So I'm actually a very well-trained, distracted driver. But I'm at my destination anyway. I think I've said what I've got to say. Be there Saturday at Leon Valley, 10:30, City Hall. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. God bless, and be free, guys.